In May 2018, Zhang, a maintenance worker at a hotel in Changzhou, suddenly received a call from the front desk clerk.
She asked me to open the door.
It is the job of the floor manager to open the door. Why did you ask him to open the door today? Zhang arrived at the 9th floor of the hotel and saw a man walking impatiently back and forth.
He was very agitated and shouted at the gate of number 9.
The man is called Lao Gu. He says his son won't open the door in his room.
I called his cell phone and didn't answer. I thought it was very strange. He usually dare not answer my call. It was almost time to work. To play games should also be home. When I checked at the police station that he was at the hotel, I knew something was wrong.
The door was locked. They couldn't get it open by swiping keycard. The clerk kicked the door open.
They just rushed into the room and didn't see anyone. They were shocked. When they turned to look at the bathroom,
the door of the bathroom was also locked. Through the glass of the bathroom, they saw two men lying cross-handed on the ground.
One young man is here and the other young man is here. His head is blocking the door.
2 young men are lying on the ground. One of them is Gu's son.
The hotel staff broke the glass. I smashed it at this position. And I smashed it a dozen times before it broke.
His son had lost the basic vital signs at that time. When Gu was about to close the door and leave, he saw his son's stomach moving. So Gu carried his son to the bed for artificial respiration and compression, and then called the emergency phone.
Changzhou police arrived at the scene of the crime.
Both men were young. The man lying in the bathroom was overweight and had vomit on his mouth. He was already dead when emergency services arrived at the scene.
Xiao Gu was sent to the hospital to save his life. What happened to the young man who died and the other was injured?
It was a messy scene. There was a lot of beer, liquor, cocktails, and food. There is a basin on the wash basin, which contains flour and burning charcoal. There is a carton with smokeless carbon under the wash basin, which we preliminarily judge as a suicide by burning charcoal.
There was no sign of a struggle, and there were no scars on the 2 men. What had happened to them to seek relief through death?
I asked him what his plans were for the future. He said I was better off dead. Why did you save me? His negativity was very strong.
Because it's a sensitive topic. I never talk about it with him. We are actively treating him now. The treatment will be good for a while, but if he hears something irritating, he will become as depressed as before. We whispered that it was time to pay back the money, and there was no money in the family. When he heard that, he would scratch his hair, hit his head, pick his fingers. To be honest, I wanted to die looking at him.
Lao Gu said Xiao Gu was a lively and talkative child when he was young.
When he was young, Gu lived in a village in the north. He lived with his sister and grandparents. His father worked hard to make money in Beijing.
The whole family depends on me. I can only work outside all the time. Xiao Gu is a stranger to me and his mother. I haven't seen her once in 3 years. I haven't spoken a word in a year.
Lao Gu is a strict father who keeps an eye on Xiao Gu's academic performance, even in Beijing.
What impresses me most is that when he was in the 2nd year of junior high school, he got the 2nd place in the class and got a certificate of award. He was very happy to skip home and said to his grandma that I got the 2nd place in the exam. At that time, I kicked him flying. I asked him the first best or the 2nd best. He didn't answer. I often say to him, we all have a head why others can be the first in the exam. And you can't do it. You have to be the best at what you do.
His father's strict education made Xiao Gu become submissive.
My child must not rebel. If he does something wrong, he will be beaten. Doing the right thing is right.
Under the strict requirements of his father, Xiao Gu keeps excellent grades. Until Xiao Gu enters high school, a sudden change changes the whole family.
His father lost millions of yuan in his business.
But after the family's financial situation got worse, his mother and father got divorced. Xiao Gu was very unhappy.
Mom sometimes comes home to see the kids. Gu said that his mother used to give him pocket money. After the divorce, he asked his mother for pocket money twice, but she didn't give him any. He felt that the family had changed.
He doesn't talk or eat every day. He plays games all the time. I broke his mobile phones.
In spite of this, Gu was admitted to the university. But the poor economic conditions have left him again traumatized psychologically.
That should have been the most painful time for him because he had no money to pay his tuition fees. He borrowed money from relatives everywhere. But our family already owed a lot of money to relatives, even if Xiao Gu knelt down to ask. Relatives still refused to borrow money. His personality and dignity were hurt. He tried to commit suicide once.
So Gu's stepmother borrowed money to pay the tuition fee, but Gu was not happy in his college life.
Gu has to use computers to study his major. Every student has a laptop, but Gu doesn't. Gu's father used to work in the computer industry. He is good at assembling computers, but because Gu loves to play games, Gu refused to provide him with a computer so that his son could concentrate on his studies.
Without a computer, Gu is no longer in the mood to study. He does not want to borrow a computer from his classmates, nor does he want to earn money to buy a computer through part-time work.
He doesn't talk to his classmates and doesn't participate in group activities. He's like a ghost in school. Gu, I don't think college life is good. I struggle every day. In his junior year, the school issued a warning every time Gu failed an exam and he couldn't finish his homework.
That in the second semester of his junior year, Gu's sister used her first month's salary to buy a computer for Gu, hoping that he could study hard. But soon after, Gu was hit again.
During his senior year, Gu's girlfriend broke up with her when her parents didn't approve of their relationship. Gu said that the relationship was very important to him and that his girlfriend was his spiritual support. He felt so lonely after the breakup that he wanted to kill himself.
Gu left the university, and he had nothing to pursue in life.
Xiao Gu goes back to his grandparents. His mother comes to visit him in the summer and finds that he still wears his winter clothes. He doesn't bathe or talk. His mother thought something was wrong with Gu and took him to the hospital, where the doctor made it clear that Gu was suffering from depression. Old Gu learned that after accusing his ex-wife to take Gu to the hospital, he said, "How can Gu get this disease?"
But Gu's abnormal state made Gu not pay attention to it. He took Gu to live in Changzhou and helped him find a job, but Gu did not return to normal.
Since leaving school, Gu hasn't stopped thinking about suicide.
The word death was both heavy and light for Gu. It drifted in and out of his life at will.
Old Gu wants little Gu to get married. Marriage needs money.
Gu also wants to make more money to share the debt pressure for his father. He lost all the 80,000 yuan he borrowed online in online gambling.
He broke down under pressure from many aspects, not wanting to die alone. Gu posted a message on a forum to gather his friends who died with him. Many people looked for Gu, and some gave up halfway. Zheng, like Gu, was determined to commit suicide.
Zheng, 30, from Zhejiang province, is 1 million yuan in debt because of online borrowing and gambling. He has not told his family that he is under great pressure.
Originally, Gu planned to arrange his sister's dinner and then kill himself the next day. Zheng said he wanted to die today, not tomorrow.
The police found the records of Xiao Gu's online purchases of smokeless carbon and hotel reservations. On May 24, 2018, Gu and Zheng went to the hotel together, ordered takeout, drank and talked.
I asked him if he ever thought of giving up during the trip, and he said no. Xiao Gu first lay down in the bathroom. After a while Xiao Zheng came in and lay down. When Xiao Zheng woke up, he found himself lying in the hospital.
Zheng died of carbon monoxide poisoning, but Gu survived after 2 days in the intensive care unit.
Many people on the internet say it's not painful to commit suicide by burning charcoal, but Gu says it was painful at the time, and the treatment was even worse. There is a lot of discussion about suicide on the internet, and some people's suicide process is broadcast on the internet. Now the time is where I am now. I'm ready. I light up the smokeless carbon and I'm lying down. There are blessings. People asking, are you gone? And anything that isn't updated in the post means the person has passed away. We feel terrible after reading the post. The internet makes life more convenient and quick, but also brings us a lot of confusion. The management of network society needs to be strengthened.
After judicial psychiatric evaluation, Xiao Gu was suffering from depression at the time of the incident, assessed as limited criminal responsibility, and was charged with intentional homicide. Gu is currently receiving treatment at the hospital. Gu is grateful to have his son back.
He is my son, even if it costs my life to save him.
What's your father-son relationship like?
Obedience. My son must obey me. He must do what I say.
What if you're wrong?
That's impossible.
Won't you have made a mistake?
Yes.
If you were right all along, why is Gu like this?
Well, there are many reasons. And I admit that I am partly responsible, because I have a daughter. I will correct my mistakes in the future education.
Xiao Zheng, who committed suicide, was not threatened by Xiao Gu. Xiao Gu was accused of intentional murder based on the following reasons. First, life is only once. Xiaogu's behavior of looking for a suicide partner has a certain degree of guidance. The victim saw Xiaogu's post and chose to burn charcoal to commit suicide. Second, Xiaogu's wise burning of charcoal would lead to death, allowing the result to happen, and subsequently committing an intentional crime. Third, the cause of death of the victim is carbon monoxide poisoning, which has a direct causal relationship with Xiaogu's charcoal burning behavior. Although the victim is suicide in form, it is actually a homicide by consent. Xiaogu has the ability of criminal responsibility and should bear the corresponding legal responsibility.
In fact, I think for Xiaogu, the light or heavy sentence is meaningless, because you can feel that he has no energy to continue living. Why is this so? What does a father, who thinks he is always right, but is actually full of holes, do to his child by demanding absolute obedience to his word? The child will not feel the need to think actively. The father will tell me, I just wait for the command to follow. If the father does not know or is unable to solve the difficulties, the child will fall into despair.
He asks his son, why aren't you number one? Isn't Gu's father very good? Why ask the child must do what he asks?
Because this kind of parents have a lot of dissatisfaction with their life. Maybe in his childhood, the family is poor, he needs to work hard to make money. Maybe he has not been treated gently by his parents, so he is not gentle to his children. His dissatisfaction with life has become a demand for the child. You do the first, I will be satisfied. As to how to achieve, he does not know. Because he has not achieved, he will only give orders, unable to provide guidance that can help.